Broadside day 927. Climber fell off of El Capitan, I guess yesterday while filming a live rock climbing thing. It must be like for that 1.5 seconds of just complete unadulterated fear, it's got to be like the greatest high on just this visceral, like primal level. But at the same time, I mean, you got to expect that. You can't climb mountains at that level and not expect that to happen. So, you know, you got to like make peace with your God. I went to a mountain climbing camp when I was in, I was probably in like 8th or 9th grade. And we climbed, you know, probably, I don't know, 100-foot face, whatever. I mean, we were just learning to rappel and stuff like that. And it's cool and all. And I've done some other stuff in my life where I've gone off of buildings and crap, you know, face first and, you know, that, or head first, I guess. But I'm not climbing stuff like that. Like, not because I'm afraid of heights, but because that's just a dumb risk to take for not a lot of reward, you know. Not to mention it's just physically taxing. I mean, I can imagine just climbing like that. You've got to be like, your ability to be in shape is otherworldly to be able to do that kind of stuff. That's like somebody thinking they can get on the gymnast rings and just do that routine and do one of, it's called an iron cross where they hold their arms out. You can't do that. You can't. Normal people can't do that. Like, you have to train for that. Like, your shoulders aren't built that way. But anyway, he's dead. So, I wonder how many people have died on that mountain. You know, because it's got kind of a storied history. If you've ever watched Free Solo with what's his name? You know, there's a bunch of other people that had done things there before. But at any rate, guy who works for me called me at 5 a.m. this morning, and he's not working. He's off this week. I gave him the week off because I got other stuff to do. And he calls me at 5 a.m. I was like, hello. I don't know why I answered the phone, but he's like, hey, can I borrow $300? And I'm like, what for? You know, I didn't even ask what for. He told me. He's like, he lives with his brother. He's like, me and my brother getting into it. We just arguing all the time, and I just need to get away. And this girl I've been talking to for a couple months, you know, she gonna come by and get me, and we're gonna get a hotel and all this. And I was like, yeah, that's fine, whatever. I said, I'm not coming over there at 5 a.m. I said, I'll be over there in a couple hours. And it's not the money. He's good for it. I ain't worried about it. You know, it is what it is. So I went by there and dropped off the money and all. But here's what it got me thinking about, right? He's a salt of the earth dude. Hardest working human I've ever met in my life. Just a good dude, right? But comes from nothing. Comes from no education. You know, that kind of stuff. I mean, he can disassemble a diesel engine, you know, with his eyes closed, but you know, you don't want him, you know, doing long division or your taxes or anything. And that's not a knock on him. I'm just telling you how it is. But here's what annoys me. Here's what I got thinking about. Because I know a few people like this. You know, it's like, you know, it goes back to the whole argument of they don't teach the right things in school. And they don't. They don't teach you how to balance a checkbook or do your taxes or budget money or anything like that. I fortunately had parents that were very thrifty and creative with their money and did a lot with not that much, you know, all told. And that stuff that's just a lesson I was given, and that's just what I learned. You know, I remember I had to buy stuff on layaway. Like my parents, you know, my dad had like this boom box in the 80s and I wanted it. And I had to pay $60 for that thing. It was a Panasonic. And he probably paid $65 for it, but he sold it to me for $60. And all I could do was look at it until I paid it off. And all. I mean, those are stupid lessons, but that kind of stuff teaches you that, you know, you got to live in the here and now. You can't be, you know, going out putting $9,000 rims on your car and financing your wheels. That's just stupid ways to, you know, whatever. But I was like, you know, I blame this guy's parents and people like him, you know, because you're never going to have anything if your life revolves around, you know, cigarettes and lottery tickets and fireworks and hotels. And, you know, like, you should never stay in a hotel unless your house burns down or it floods or something, or a sinkhole opens up in your backyard and it's just not a stable place to stay. you should never stay in a hotel within like 8 miles of your house. Like, that's just a good, like, if you need to get away and you're not actually getting into the next town, at least, it's not really a getaway. It's just a waste of money, you know. You're just spending, you know, $93 a night to have HBO. You know, it frustrates me to no end, because I want to take people like that and I want to shake them, and I want to be like, let me be in charge of your finances for 1 year. Okay, let's turn your life around. Let's get some savings. Let's make it to where if the transmission goes out in your truck, you're not bankrupt. You know what I mean? You know, it drives me nuts because the parents fail kids so much in this country. I mean, it's also been said there should be like a test, or you should have to register to have children, because most people shouldn't be having kids because they're idiots. They have a, when your own life is a shambles, you probably shouldn't bring other humans in. And it never fails that those people always end up having 9 kids. Like you got 14 dogs and 9 kids, and you're a wreck. Like you should be less than a train wreck first before you bring other humanoids into the world, because you're going to teach them all your stupid. Like, I got a guy I know who's got 7 kids, and I'm gonna say one of them has amounted to something. She has a decent job. She's in her early 30s. They range from like 11 to like 32. I mean, he's had some kids, and there were 2 that didn't make it, so there would have been 9, right? I mean, I guess maybe they just replaced that one with one that was, I don't know. At any rate, it's a lot of kids, right? And one of them has a decent job and all that. Everybody else, it's just, addiction, debt, do nothing, stay at home, play video games all day long, live off the government. And I just I don't understand like why you wouldn't want more for your kids. And I'm not saying every kid has to go to Yale, or something like that. I'm just saying, like, there's so many things you can do in this world that don't require an education or don't require this or that just get you out. You got to break the cycle. Like, everybody probably, if they think about it, has a cycle to break. You just have to figure out what that cycle is. And it probably is pretty obvious. And if you don't know what it is, ask your good friend. They'll tell you, like, oh, you're an asshole. That's a cycle you got to break. You got to stop being an asshole. Okay, there's a cycle. I'll break it. Starting now, right? So, it's described like I was listening to a podcast yesterday. We're talking about how, like, an insane amount of people that are left on, what's it called when, I got Nepo babies in my head, and it's when they, trust fund babies, trust fund. When you have like millions and millions of dollars left to you, it seems like a great life, and it probably is. You're just hanging out, just doing whatever the hell you want all day long. It probably gets boring at times, but whatever. But those people become such horrible creations because there's so many machinations of life in the world that they don't have to deal with that create a good character in a person. It's just kind of crazy, man. I just don't understand it, and I don't understand how you can have kids and look at them and love them the way that I love my kids, and not want the absolute best for them, and 1,000 million times, quadrillion times better than you had it. Even if you had it great, So anyway, I need to stop keeping cash in my house. That's my problem. Because if I don't keep cash, then I'm not going to buy an ATM to get money out for somebody at 5 a.m. So maybe it's my own fault. At any rate, y'all have a good one. El Cap.